Brenda.
And I'm Christy. We're two friends from high school who are connecting and reconnecting over music and memories.
Welcome to Normal Bias Podcast.
We're glad you're here.
Is that new?
Yeah, I've never seen
I don't like that.
I've never seen that in my life before.
You know, there's a reason they had to do that, right?
Yeah.
Somebody got to doing something.
Yeah, people would just start recording people. Weird.
Well, you know what? Never mind. We're not going to do this then.
Okay, yeah, we changed our mind. No, just kidding. So are we going to do an intro, all of the things? Okay. Hey, y'all. Welcome back to Normal Bias Podcast. It's Brenda and Christy, and this is a year after with Casey and Alex, which we titled last year was The Greatest Love of All. Our kids, of course, right? So we sat down last year. It was we posted it May 29th. I'm not sure what date we recorded, but so today is June 11th.
Like
And
It was like May, because I got a photo the other day. Hold on, keep talking.
Because remember it rained so hard that day and we almost got stuck
It
together.
did. It did. So last year, we were in quarantine, I guess like a month and a half into quarantine. That seems so long ago. Alex had already turned 18 and
No. I was 17.
you were 17?
I just turned 17.
It was May 24th.
Oh, you just turned 17. You see? Okay, already math.
It is. Well, we're taking the selfie 1 second.
Oh, wow. This is what we do here.
I found the selfie that we took at your house on May 24th last year when we recorded. Dang, my hair was long. Look at that.
Yeah, it really
That's
was.
weird.
Your hair was
really
long.
Okay.
Okay, y'all.
Okay,
So
sorry.
it's been a minute. Alex had just turned 17. Now he's 18. But quarantine, we were in about a month and a half in. Christy and I, we had started the podcast at the end of April.
Mhm.
And here we are a year later. So much has changed. There's just so much. We were talking about going into senior year, what that was going to look like, because the seniors of 2020's year had just kind of halted. Well, I guess the whole world halted, right? So we wanted to sit down with you guys and talk going into your senior year, how it was going at the end of junior year, what were some of the things that you were anticipating or you're nervous about starting your senior year. And so I thought it would just be fun to sit down today and talk about here we are, what happened, how did it go, and all those things. So here we are. We graduated high school.
I want to say something. I just want to say you guys made it.
Yeah, we did.
I mean, I don't think y'all had a normal senior year by any chance, but you had like comparatively, you guys got to do a lot. Like Alex, you got to go to prom.
Yeah, we did. I feel like we did pretty much everything we would have done. Like,
Maybe it was a little bit different, but I'm just proud of y'all. And for both of y'all, you know, you didn't slack off. You did great with your college applications and all of the things. Like it's just been really, you did it.
Yeah, we did it.
I could go get like blowers and stuff. I didn't even think about that. We should be celebrating y'all.
Like a normal bias, like graduation.
Yeah.
Whoop, whoop.
Yeah.
I could make that happen if y'all have like 10 seconons, but I'm not.
That's
Alex
fine.
is like, oh gosh.
It's fine.
I don't know. I kind of wanted to see it.
Oh, no. Don't encourage
Here,
it.
y'all talk amongst yourselves.
Okay, so here's what I want to know. So I listened to the podcast last year's, and basically we didn't know what was going to happen because everything was happening and unfolding before us. You guys had, jumped into online school. Like I said, we were in quarantine. So the friends that, like Alex mentioned several times in the episode that, so his soccer season came to an abrupt halt. So those seniors that he had played with, he didn't get to say goodbye to, basically wasn't going to see anymore. I don't know if you had the opportunity this year to catch up with any of them. But so it was kind of a sad time and kind of just an uncertain time. So when I'm listening back, I felt scared and sad and pretty anxious. But now, like looking back at everything that's happened, it really was even better than I could have imagined, considering at the time it wasn't so great.
Yeah. I think it all worked out. And also, I mean, my senior year was different because I chose to be at home this year. And so I went into it knowing that it was going to be different because most of my peers were still at school. And, but if anything, I think that really made my senior year better. A lot of people wouldn't have liked that, wouldn't have enjoyed being home. But that was something that I really enjoyed because I got to be at home with my parents, but I still got to do all my work. I was still productive. I got to be on my own schedule. I was still at the school every single day, at least once a day, for cheer or to take all my tests, to meet with teachers, things like that. So I was still connected, but I got to do everything from home and still see friends and things like that. So I never would have imagined that my senior year would have taken place like from a computer, but I think it worked out in the end.
Well, and
Yeah, I definitely think that some like students like really thrived and embraced the freedom and the able to be, home to do it. And whereas a lot of students I know at my school in particular, like they really struggled, and I wonder like in long term what that's gonna do. But getting to be back face to face was really, really awesome. So so to that, we went back to school face to face. Our school district went back face to face in August, I think the 24th, I want to say.
Yeah, we did like 2 weeks of virtual school,
Mm-hmm.
and then they sent everyone back.
So yeah, so we had the choice to go back if we wanted, and my boys went back and started the year. And it looked different at first, of course, masks and social distancing where you could. And then I know, not everyone went back. So
Yeah, my school, well, not everyone, like, so there was a certain amount of kids that were just virtual, like 20 or 30% of the kids stayed virtual, so we didn't see them. But also, like, our school didn't, because they were virtual kids and because, like, the school kind of had to be flexible about kids switching back and forth, like going virtual, or maybe, if they were exposed to someone with COVID, they would go virtual for a few days. So my school didn't really enforce like absences or anything. So like the school would be like completely empty some days. Like people would just skip or stay home when they wanted to. So like some days, especially the last like 9 weeks, like most of my classes, there's like 5 or 6 people.
Oh wow.
Like every day. And the parking lot was like empty.
That's crazy. I didn't hear about that in Brenham, and like I never saw the parking lots empty or anything. But the one thing is like whenever we had a substitute in any of my classes, I always got counted absent. And so at the end of every 6 week, I would go through and it'd be like 12 absences in this class, 15 absences in this class, and like I did all my work, I checked in, but the sub who was in class, my name was still on the roster, and so when I wasn't there, they didn't know. So I had to just like communicate with my teachers. But that was one thing because I am not usually absent, and so I had to double check, and that's also how I was exempt from my finals. So I was always checking on that to make sure that I was actually exempt because I was not going to take finals, and I didn't have to, thank goodness.
Yeah, normally they do a bunch of like, yeah, like we can't exempt finals if you have a certain number of absences, and like they actually like really enforce it. But this year, like there was nothing, so kids would just skip like every day. But
so going
hard time next year. Like that's my whole
yeah,
thing.
if the school, like if they go back to how they were doing it before, like some kids are gonna struggle, especially like a lot of like juniors now, rising seniors that I'm friends with, like that didn't go to school. I'm just thinking like y'all are not gonna be able to do a like full senior year, like a normal senior year.
Yeah.
Well, and think about like y'all's peers going to college. If you're in college, if you don't show up for class, I mean, you can get dropped. I mean, it's not just about, oh, you're absent, you need a note. It's like you weren't in class, so you only get so many absences before you don't get credit or whatever. I mean, there's serious consequences for it.
Yeah.
So I think I feel like some of you guys are going to be fine, but some of your friends are going to struggle.
Right. I definitely think that the whole online face to like it became a crutch, I guess. I noticed it a lot in elementary too. So new habits were developed. And yeah, like I said, in the long term, it's going to be really interesting to see what happens. So I want to know, going into your senior year, try and go back to like that first week, first day. What was on your mind? Was COVID heavily there on your mind? What was it going to look like? Or were you just like, okay, this is it. I just want to knock this year out and get it over with?
I'm gonna be honest, COVID was like never on my mind this year. This year never really felt like a big deal to me. I don't know if that was because of COVID and my brain just didn't process, oh yeah, this is different. But the first day, it felt special, but it felt weird because I sat down at my desk at 8 o'clock and none of my teachers had posted anything. So I did my work in like 30 minutes at like 10 o'clock that day, and then I was done. And so everything felt very different. Even the last day of school didn't feel like a last day of school. Like we went to College Station that morning and we went to Target, and that was how I celebrated my last day of school because I didn't have anything to do. So COVID was never on my mind, honestly. And maybe that was just because I was a remote student, but it never felt like senior year, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I feel the same way because like when school finally started, I feel like there was a bunch of like hype, like, oh, like we finally get to go back to school in person. And then when we got to school, like everything was so just like lenient and like easy with like virtual accommodations and whatnot. So that it just made the whole year, the whole vibe kind of like insignificant, I guess, for what I was expecting out of like a senior year. That kind of changed towards the end, but definitely at the beginning, I was just like, oh, this is it. Like, this is kind of boring.
Yeah. But also, I think like going into high school, not necessarily senior year, I had this big grand idea of what high school was going to be from like High School Musical and the TV shows and stuff. Like that's what I thought it was going to be like, and then it was nothing like that. So I think any of those unrealistic expectations I had about senior year, like I didn't really have those in my head anymore because I knew that it was probably not going to be like that. And also COVID, so I went into it knowing that like pep rallies weren't going to happen and football games were going to look differently and all these things might not happen. And I think going in with that mindset really helped too because I didn't have big expectations.
Football season was weird for both of y'all. But like, so for on Nebel's in 7th grade, it was the first year he played, probably the only year he's going to play. But so for his games, we were limited as far as how many tickets he could get, who could go, where we could be on the field. Like there were several games that we had to like stand on the outside of a fence. And then yours, we maybe went to one game and you only suited up like a couple of games.
No, I was at all the games still, but as
away games,
there were just so many restrictions. Like for me being the mascot, I was only, and like it wasn't just me, but cheerleaders, anybody else extra was only allowed on like between these yard lines. So you had 20 yards of the track that you could be on, but that was it. Like we couldn't interact with the band, we couldn't go up in the stands like we usually do, we couldn't go over to the concession stand. It was like everyone was just kind of in little bubbles. So yeah.
So us too, definitely the fall was touch and go. We're still, treading, wading the waters, trying to figure it all out. I think definitely there was a turnaround in the springtime where things to me felt, as a mom with a senior, it felt normal because of getting to do things like prom and, I knew there would be a graduation and senior picnic was going to happen. All of those things that are the typical traditional senior things were happening. What I wasn't expecting, I had a lot of guilt whenever I would be excited about it because I would always think about the 2020 senior moms and kids who missed out on so much of those things. So I had guilt with that, but I also felt like I was glad those things were happening, but they weren't as important as I thought they were, if that makes sense. Like it's not about those things. I listening back to the recording from last year, Alex was really, vocal about wanting to spend time with, friends and, we're in quarantine when the things start thinking about the things that you took for granted. So I do think that he definitely spent time with friends. And to me, that was more important than the events or the boxes to check off. I don't know about you, but
Yeah, like to me, like the stuff I'll remember from senior year is mostly just will be like sleepovers at friends' houses and like just well, my favorite things about senior year was during soccer season. Like this soccer season was definitely like the most fun that I've had in high school and the best soccer season that I've had. But just like before games, like sitting in the stands with my team because we like watched the JV games. So just like being around friends is what I think I'll remember instead of like my senior picnic or things like that.
Yeah, I feel the same. I don't have like a big friend group. I would say that there are like I have 3 or 4 friends that like good friends, like those are the people I would text, those are the people I would choose to hang out with. And when it came to like the senior events like prom, and we did a senior lunch, and we have something called daisy chain, and even graduation. Well, first of all, I skipped prom. I chose not to go to prom, which was like, you know, mind blowing for some people, but I could care less. And then like senior lunch didn't really feel like that big of a deal. Daisy chain was probably my favorite senior event because they have literally like a chain of daisies, and we like pass to the juniors. But before that, we had to do this whole program, and I was one of the people in charge of it this year, and we basically just like roast people in our class, and it was so fun. And yeah, so I helped with that, and then we hand out these awards, and I won the award. What was it? Best girl to take home to mom and dad. That was the award I was voted on. So yeah, that was a fun day. And then graduation didn't feel, I mean, like I knew in my mind, like I'm going to tell my kids about this someday, but it didn't feel, it felt special, but it didn't feel as important as I guess it always would have felt.
But it was 2 weeks after y'all's last day of school. Like you really finished your work on a Tuesday, and then 2 weeks later you graduated.
That's true.
And
we had a big gap between finishing schoolwork and graduating, so that was kind of weird too.
And you were kind of already full speed ahead on like dorm room planning and that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah, I'm already in college mode. Like, let's go.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about Alex, but Alex's graduation to me was super special. It was very thoughtful. I don't know. To me, like as soon as I saw them lining up about to walk in, like just everything about it was even better than I anticipated it being, because I remember mine like so vividly, but I'm gonna get sad. I'm not sad, I'm gonna cry. I could see him right away. He was like coming up. He was like one of the first kids to come out, and I could just feel like him. He was in front, and then like all of his friends, like all these kids that I have known forever, walking in here, just like, and it just like all flashed before my eyes, like all the things that they've gone through, that they've just grown up. It was just so good. And we had to do it a little differently because of rain, but they did the speeches at the end because they wanted to because of the weather, they wanted to make sure they called all the names first. And I thought that was even really neat because after that, I felt like we were really listening to what they said. And I don't know, it was just really cool. It was fun seeing them all hug each other after. Like it was, to me, it was the best thing about the senior year was the graduation.
Yeah, I know. I thought it was good just because, like, my high school's pretty big, but up until last year, only one middle school fed into it. Like, it was just my middle school that went to my high school. So, like, I've known everyone that was there for, like, at least, like, 7 years, if not more. So just being at graduation, like, when we would walk in, we walked in, like, 2 super long lines. Like,
it was so long.
Like, 300 kids in each line, like, these super long lines. But, like, I would just, like, look around, and I knew most of the people, and, like you kind of know that it's like one of the last times you'll see a lot of them, but like y'all we're all like accomplishing the same thing at the same time, so it was cool.
Yeah.
How many were in your graduating class?
Like right around 600.
Ours was, what did it end up being, like 350 something?
Yeah,
So yeah, the lines felt really long, and they had ours like like honor graduates went in first and then alphabetical. And so luckily I was at the front, so I got to like not very front, not that far, but I was like towards the front, so I got to go in early and just kind of chill and then watch everybody else walk in.
Alex wouldn't know. He walked in 5th.
Yeah, 15th. I'll take it though. My class is so competitive and I am not, and I did not want to have to like compete for grades.
Funny, not funny, haha, but like fun. It was like
It was
nail
like
biting. It
point
was
0.000 whatever was the difference between the top few, and so it was like a nail biter. Not for me, for them. It was a nail biter for a while.
That's how whenever so like I started like my freshman year, my rank was like 14 or something, and like before I got my first rank, I was like, oh, I have all A's. Like I'll get in the top 10. It's gonna be so easy. And then I was 14, and I was like, wait, like you actually have to like try for this. But then when I got into the top 10, I was like number 9, and I had been like actually like trying really hard, and I was only at number 9. I was like, y'all can have the top whatever. Like I'm just gonna chill and see where it goes. Like my class, the people at the very very top of my class, like it was kind of insane.
Yeah, well, there are a few teachers at my school. One of them, she's retired now, but a couple years or last year's class, it got to the point where she gave them all 100s, like the top 4 people, she gave them all 100s on every test, every assignment, because a lot of times her giving, like if one person did make 100, that was the difference, and that would like shift around ranks. And she was like, I'm not going to be the reason that your rank changes. Like, I know you're all smart enough, I'm just going to give you 100. But I'm not about that. That's too much for me.
That whole thing stresses me out. Like that, like I want you and Noble and you and Matt, I want you guys to be like well-rounded. I want you to have like I want you to have a good life in all the areas of life. I don't just want you to make perfect grades.
Yeah.
I don't want to. I mean, I think it's great that y'all do. I'm so proud of y'all for that. But I'm more than pleased with where y'all are.
Right. And he and I definitely had the talk. I don't remember if it was junior year or if it was at the beginning of senior year. I told him, I was like, if you want to be in the top 10, that's like amazing. But he was working so hard and was in his room just doing homework all the time. And I just, I was like, I wanted him to have fun too and still do stuff with his friends. So I was just like, if you decide today that you just want to say, oh, well, it's fine. But, and then he ended up at 5, which is
amazing.
Wow. Yeah. So he definitely worked really hard for it. And I think he still had fun. So.
Yeah, no, like my favorite thing would be like, for some reason, I don't know. I feel like a lot of people, like when they find out, like kids in my school, like in my grade, when they find out I'm in the top 10, they're like surprised because like people would find out my rank and then they'd be like, how are you in the top 10? Like either they think I'm dumb from like how I act, or they're like, oh, you go to like football games and like we see you at like parties and stuff. Like, how are you in the top 10? Like we don't see any of the other people in there. But that's like my favorite like compliment is like, how are you in the top 10? I've seen you at all the football games.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like,
still having fun. He got voted most school spirit. So,
I love that.
That's cool.
Me too. So you can do both. So I want to talk about, and this could be for all of us, but
Wait, can I say one more thing about graduation? I have a mom thing to say about graduation. So for all these years, we've gone to everybody else's graduations. Like, you go sit and community college graduations are like 4 hours long. Do you remember that from when you were little?
Yeah.
So we've been to everybody's high school graduation, everybody's college graduation, every graduation in our family. And so I wasn't dreading your graduation, but I was really like, oh, great, a graduation. So Noble and I, we took a game and we played while we were waiting in the stands before it started. But then once it started, like once those kids started walking in, it was like we were there and we blinked and it was over. And it was like the whole time we were just looking down at the field and like remembering like 3-year-old you guys dancing and 6-year-old you guys wearing like, your insect things and kindergarten, all of the things. And it was, it was that feeling that we had that night. I think that is what we were looking for when we moved here, like to give her the roots of being able to grow up with the same group of kids. And it was just such a sweet night. And even afterwards, going down on the field while you took your pictures with your friends and, you know, and visited and stuff. We weren't in a hurry. It wasn't like, oh, great, it's over, let's go. It was just, we were all like fully present that evening. And it was just really neat.
Oh, I was ready to leave. But
So
I was in the moment for like,
Her feet hurt. She had really cool shoes. Her feet
had
hurt.
this great-
that's not why. I was just, I don't know.
And you didn't eat beforehand. You didn't
Yeah,
get to
that's
eat.
true. We didn't eat dinner before graduation, and graduation didn't start until 8:00. And so and you know how I feel about meal times. So
Yeah.
I had to get some food. And then a friend invited me over to her house because they had this giant cake that they bought. And so I went over to her house and had like cake and queso and hung out with her family for a while. And then I think I had like a Sonic burger for dinner on the night of graduation. Yeah, I had like Sonic for dinner and then passed out. But yeah, it was a good day. I think it'll feel more special to me later when I think back on it, but it was a good day. And we didn't invite any family, not like that we didn't want them, but just it was just the four of us, which was really nice.
Well, and I think like one of the things that I've learned about Casey and Noble both is that when we bring other, like if we had taken a grandparent, we would have had to worry about the grandparent getting in the stands and are they comfortable and are they, you know, like, so we have learned to kind of pare it down just so I can actually focus on them and making everybody else happy and first.
So I was just gonna kind of throw this out here because there's something else I want to talk about, but this kind of is a thing. Is like, is there something that good? What is something during like quarantine to now that you wouldn't have expected that was a good thing to come out of all of this? And I have a little one. Our graduation, which has never been at our high school stadium, was in the stadium. We usually have it at NRG, and it's like they have like all of our district graduations are pretty much on the same day, different times, like back to back to back. You have to drive there. It's just crazy. So I really loved that this year they made it at the high school stadium, which was really good. Is there something that you came out of this that was a good thing that you wouldn't have thought would have been a good thing, or that you'll adopt to keep doing?
Not related to high school, but when it was time to work on college applications and came time to do college tours, there were 2 colleges that they had tours stopped, and so I was going to wait on my college decision until I could go tour the campus, and I was just putting that off, but all the time, like, I knew I wanted to go to St. Houston. I was just trying to like check off that box, but because of COVID, I couldn't go tour that campus and like put that to rest. But finally, like, we had a big family discussion and just decided, like, you know, Sam Houston is right for me. Like, that's where I know I want to go. So not being able to do all the big college tour road trips and not being able to, you know, visit all the schools and do all that, I only ended up visiting 2 schools, and that ended up working out really well. And I think that was huge for me to just, you know,
to let go of that expectation.
Yeah.
I love that y'all both are going to an orange school.
Yeah.
I love that you're both going to the schools that you love.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm so happy.
A lot of people don't do that.
Yeah. Alex, what's your thing? Before, I don't want to skip over you.
Well, okay, so like long term, like big picture thing is that just because I finished my junior year like virtual, didn't get to finish my soccer season and stuff, so that just made the like last 9 weeks of my senior year that much better just by comparison, just because like I associated the springtime in school with what happened, you know, last year, and so this year it made it better. But kind of like what my mom said on my graduation, like a smaller thing. I didn't see like any of the kids that were virtual this year, which were like actually some kids that like I was friends with. And so then at graduation, like we were all together, it was everybody. And so just seeing people that I hadn't seen all year, like normally if I had seen those people at graduation, I would have just been like, oh, whatever. Like I saw them last week, but like this was people I hadn't seen in like a year and a half. And then we were like, I was like, oh, they finished high school too. Like we've all been doing the same thing still like all year. So that was cool.
That is cool. I like that.
Yeah.
Were you gonna say something, Christy?
We've been talking a lot. So
Come on, let's say.
am I
Sorry.
I can sit in the back. Just about like college choices and stuff. And I think because of my experience, like I was set to go to St. Thomas. I had a full scholarship. I had all the things and everything was lined out. I ended up not going and staying out of school for a year. And then I ended up at St. Houston, which was my choice. But it was like, I remember how other people treated it. I remember how I felt. I felt so lost that year. And so to watch so many of, of y'all's peers struggle with where they're going to go to college, if they're going to go to college, and you can just see like the pressure that people feel, like the pressure to pick the right school. And I've seen so many kids struggle with it and maybe make the choice that's expected of them and not the choice that they want to make. So I think that's why it makes me really happy that we can sit here with the two of you guys and know, like, unequivocally, you guys went with your guts. You went with your hearts. And your brains, you're both smart. You did, like, I know why you each picked the school that you picked. And it's the best school for you. But also it's a school that's going to make you happy.
Yeah.
And that makes me happy.
For sure.
I'm proud of y'all for being true to you.
It was like the whole college application like process was just choices. Like you have to decide where you're gonna apply first, and then you have to decide like you basically have to decide what you want the college to know about you. Like you have to decide what you're gonna tell them because you only get, you get to tell them a few activities and one essay, maybe a few more, but they're really not that long. So you really have to choose what you want them to know about you, and then in the end, like the hardest decision was just choosing which one to go to. But I feel like I did good, and like what I learned from it, because to be honest, I feel like I'm pretty indecisive, and like even when I feel like I don't seem indecisive, but I like really stress about making decisions, and then even afterward I stress about like the alternatives of what would have happened with the other decisions. But now I feel like I'm learning more so to just like once you pick one, just go with it. Like you'll never really know what the alternative would have been. So like why I really stress about it.
What ifs? Oh,
Well, so this is a really girly thing, Alex, but so I read a book 3 summers ago, and Annie F. Downs wrote it, and one of the things that she talks about is divine detours, and it's those decisions that you make, the decisions that you make, something that happens to you, and you don't really know why, but later, maybe you get to see why God puts you. Like I've had like just weird things that have happened in my life, and I like from the like in hindsight, I see that it was God nudging me back onto the path that I was supposed to be on, because I wouldn't be here if I hadn't made some really crazy turns along the way. And so that, and I didn't know that when I was your age. I didn't know that when I was 30. I didn't learn that until I really didn't grasp that until like the last several years. Is like I guess the last 11 years since my dad died. I've done a lot of soul searching about it, and I realized that all of those things that were so hard, and then I second guessed myself and I doubted myself, I wouldn't be here, and I wouldn't be me, and I wouldn't have them and this without them. So that gives me peace as an old person. You'll get there. But
yeah. I definitely think too, like, know that things, if you got there and you decided, even though you've wanted to go there or you've loved Texas Longhorns your entire life, like if you got there and you decided, you know what, this really isn't for me. I have learned, because I used to always think like things were like the end of the world, and it's not the end of the world. You have so many other opportunities. You can transfer, you can, whatever you do, it's going to be okay as long as you're true to you, and don't feel like you have to stay there because, well, this is where I committed, I'm going to finish here even though you're miserable. Like, it's fine. I think you would have been happy at any of the other choices. I think you're going to be really happy here. It's just like the opportunity is endless, and if anything, like, it's going to be so much fun just being in that sea of orange, but actually like you're like officially there. You've earned that spot, and now you are a Longhorn.
Yeah,
not just a fan.
Yeah, I was kind of just like indoctrinated into it just because like my dad went there for law school, but now it's like my own thing.
Mm-hmm.
Do I remember correctly, like, wasn't Kevin accepted to Notre Dame, or he was at Notre Dame and then came, like UT was his first choice?
He was enrolled, yeah. So he wanted to go to UT for law school, and I think they waitlisted him, or they just like they took a long time to accept him, and so he was enrolled at Notre Dame, and he like lived there and was about to start classes. Like he had a South Bend, Indiana address and everything, and then like right before classes started at Notre Dame, UT said they had one spot open, and so he just like dropped everything and went to Austin.
Yep.
And think about if he had just been like, well, I'm here, I committed, it's Notre Dame. Like how different would, I mean, all of your lives would be.
Well, that's what it was cool. So UT played at Notre Dame a football game a few years ago, like I think like 4 or 5 years ago, and me, Matt, and my dad went. And like while we were there, Notre Dame's really cool, and like the like football environment there is really cool. But the whole time I was there, I was just thinking like, dang, like I could have like this could have been like my team instead if my dad had stayed there. How weird that would have been.
Well, and like think about like if y'all lived up there and like you know what lake effect snow. I have family in South End, and yeah, like think about like all of like your lives would be completely different.
Yeah.
And that I don't know about y'all, like, but I feel like having parents who have, like we both changed careers. You guys have, you had a marital status change. Like I hope that frees y'all up to see that not being where you thought you were going to be isn't the end of the world. That there are so many, and you with your math brains, you guys know like there's an infinite amount of like it's iconic, right? Like one change is going to affect a million other things, but that's what's beautiful about it. Like you guys, y'all have your whole lives to do all the things, and what we've told Casey, kind of like what you were saying, Brenda, like if you get there, if you want to study abroad, I mean, if she can afford it, like we don't have unlimited funds, but if you can study abroad, if you want to live in a big city, if you want all the things that you want to do those while you can, because once you get married, once you have kids, once you have a job and a contract, you don't have the freedom necessarily to move and to choose and do all those things. You have to wait a year at a time. So we're like, it's okay to hold it loosely, even though it feels like, for me at y'all's age, it felt like I was letting everybody down, that I didn't have a 4-year plan, that I wasn't doing what I was supposed to do. But the truth of it is you're not letting us down. So
yeah, and who knows, at the end he was between two schools, and maybe you'll go get your master's at the other school and you have the best of both. Who knows?
Yeah, like so basically I was choosing between Rice and UT, like where I was gonna go, and like obviously everyone was like, oh, how could you not go to Rice? Like it's just Rice. If you're from Texas, like everyone's just like, oh yeah, go to Rice. And so I was like, so I was really dreading the decision. Like I put it off like really long, almost until like May 1st, which was like the last day, like for all the schools basically to commit to a school. But then like towards the end, when I was finally like getting ready to decide, I was like, why am I like dreading this so much? I'm choosing between Rice and UT Austin. Like this is a good dilemma to have.
Yeah.
are you excited about Austin?
Yeah, I really am actually. And I just got like this last week I got my dorm room, like my assignment and my roommate. So that made it like more real. Like I'm staying in Juster West, which is the biggest dorm at UT, and that's where like a lot of freshmen live. So now I'm like, dang, I'm about to have like 5,000 neighbors that are my age.
I think it's good. I think it's going to be so exciting. I'm so excited for you.
So what stuff do you have this summer? Like when's your orientation, and are you doing?
Yeah, so my orientation is July 5th to 7th, and then that's when I'll register for my classes as well, because that's when we do our like advisor meetings and stuff like that. So I'm excited for that. And then I was gonna go to this thing called Camp Texas, which is basically like summer camp for like incoming freshmen, but it sold out too fast. And by too fast, I mean I got the email about it and just didn't want to like put my email and stuff in for like 2 weeks. And then when I looked a few days ago, it was already sold out. And so
Is that the one in July?
no, it's in August. But yeah, so that one was my fault, but it'll be fine though.
Yeah, I had my orientation yesterday, and it was only one day not because of COVID, but kind of like
because of COVID.
Yeah, because of COVID. Because usually it would be like a multiple day, like spend the night thing, and it wasn't. It was just one like jam-packed day. It was fun. It was weird. because we didn't get to do all the things we would have normally done on like a normal year. But it was fun to be on campus and meet people. And I registered for my classes like 2 months ago online and did my advising and stuff online. Which I'm hearing now is kind of rare to do that, like months in yeah.
That's really
So I have that all done, and then I have they do something called Bearcat Camp, which is like what was yours called, Camp Texas?
mm,
Yeah. So ours is Bearcat Camp because like the university owns a camp, and so we'll go there for 3 days at the end of July, and then I have what else do I have? Oh, 2 days before I move in, I go up to Huntsville for a freshman leadership retreat, which is something I was accepted to, and then I'll have like an honors college retreat. So yeah.
And that was after school starts.
Yeah. So it's gonna be a busy summer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Going by
Yeah.
so fast.
Our orientation was only going to be like 2 days and everything was going to be online, but they added a hybrid option. And so I did that one. So it sounds like, because I have some friends that already did it because there's like 8 weekends and I'm in like the 4th or 5th one. But so the first day is in person and you get to live in the dorms, and that sounds like where they knock out all the like normal cringy like college orientation things, like in person, like activities, icebreakers kind of things, which so that will be an experience. And then like the last 2 days are all like virtual, and that's when you do like your advising and stuff.
That's cool. Yeah, I think that'll be fun. Yeah. Orientation, it was fun. I mean, I'm ready for college. I'm ready to go.
I think y'all are like, I like sitting here with the two of you guys because I feel like y'all are so different, but also so similar in that my assumption, Alex, is that you're like Casey. Like I didn't ever say, hey, you've got a deadline coming up, or hey, did you apply for that scholarship? It was more like, hey, I did this. Like, and it was yesterday sitting there. They had to start the parent session of orientation with like a 30-minute talk on why we shouldn't do everything for our kids. And I was like, I was just sitting there and I was like, I would be willing to bet that 30 years ago, this is not like had my parents like they probably wouldn't have told them that. They wouldn't have had to. But it just made me appreciate you guys, like you and then Alex sitting here talking to you. I love that y'all are independent and capable, and like I'm not worried about you guys going to college and not going to class, or going to college and flunking out. And like you're gonna get it done because you want to for yourself. You're not doing it to make us happy. You're doing it because you want to.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for y'all.
Yeah. And well, just like going off that, my mom, so I did 10 college applications, and like 8 of them were on Common App, and then 2 of them were on like different like portals basically. And then when it was all said and done, I was like getting decisions, and my mom was like, oh, what is there like one portal where I can see all the decisions and stuff? And I was realizing there's like probably like 30 different websites that I had to visit like regularly when I was doing my applications and stuff. Like there's like financial aid portals and admissions portals for like all the colleges. And then I had to be on Common App, and I had to be writing my essays on like Google Docs and all these different documents open all the time. And I was just like, not really, like, and so I was just kind of proud at the end. I was like, dang, I did like all of this and like figured it out. Just kind of,
and
just kind of
still
figuring it out.
graduated number 5. Like, you know, like in my brain, I can't, I have to do one I have to do one thing well. I can only do one thing. Like I can't, like you guys.
Yeah, like after applying to colleges, anyone that goes like just applies, like that's actually an accomplishment, like insane, because there's so much that you just have to like figure out as you go when you're applying and doing financial aid and all that.
Yeah, some of them like they want to know your entire life story, every grade you've ever made. Like A&M, and A&M was hard. Like that was the application that I did not enjoy the most because theirs is not like everybody else's. Like there's a separate website, and instead of just like sending them your transcript, you have to go in and type in everything and just.
That's how you do this.
I was like, this is so extra. Like, let me just send you my transcript. It has the exact same information, and instead of like spending 2 hours typing everything in.
Yeah, because it's like most schools in the US do Common App, which is like its own private basically like company, and so it's so like easy to use and it looks so like pleasing to the eye, like it's really good. And then all the like public Texas schools do Apply Texas, which is like the most publicly funded like government website ever, and it's so hard to use, and you have to like That
Like-
one's it's
Do you like log in and hear the modem sound or?
yes, it's like when you go to like the like DPS or the DMV websites, it's like one of those, and it's like so bad.
Well, it's one of those, like, if you're on there for like 10 minutes without activity, it like shuts everything down, and then you have to like
Yeah.
start it again and like reload everything. It's a pain. But
And on the bottom of the page it says like copyright 1993. It's like, so bad.
Okay, so let's talk really quick. Let's try to wrap it up. About, do you remember what normal looked like? And would you call this new normal, or is it just normal now again?
I'm just calling it life. I'm just rolling with it. I try not to think about that. I'm
Yeah.
just taking it as it comes. Like, my college experience, my high school experience was different than a lot of people's because of COVID, like the last year. But I mean, I'm trying not to think about it being different. I'm just trying to take it as it is.
Mhm.
That's kind of my take on it.
I honestly don't really remember. Like to the eye, it seems like it's normal, but also at the same time, you're just thinking that like the whole pandemic happened, whereas beforehand, like the pandemic hadn't happened, obviously. So like now, I think it's looks normal to the eye, but it's not, just because like we all have the same experience with it not being normal. So I don't know. In like 10 years, I'm either gonna think like, dang, remember when that pandemic happened and we all had to wear masks for like 18 months? Or it's just gonna be like one continuous kind of thing, and that's what I think is like a new normal. I don't know.
Yeah, in my mind, there's kind of a jump, like March 2020. Cause like in my head, I just think of that as Ireland because that was my big Ireland trip. And so like in my mind, there was like Ireland, and then there was some sort of like loophole into COVID, and now it's just like COVID to now. Because my brain is like one big timeline. That's how I think of things. And yeah, I don't know. I try not to think about like the difference between normal 2 years ago and normal now, but I don't know.
But I think that part of that's just sort of like, that's what we've established as our culture here is we, like, I'm a big thinker, but I kind of do it all in my head. And
Mhm.
I don't know, like, I don't even know, like, if you guys would know if I was worried about it, or I think like a lot of that stuff I hold inside.
Realized, yeah.
So I don't know. I guess we don't spend a lot of time like thinking about like we don't, I guess too, because, well, I feel like I've done my kids a disservice in some ways because they're not allowed to say they're bored. They're not allowed to like whine about stuff. They're not allowed, like, they can tell me how they feel, but they're not allowed to complain for no, like, just to complain. And I guess because like in my head, I'm like, all right, next thing. And so I just Sunday, like, that'll be what you tell your therapist. My mom
I
never
don't
let
know.
me process my emotions. She was like, all right, let's go.
No, it's not that at all. Right now, it's kind of a service to me because, I mean, I could be going into this like, oh my gosh, my freshman year of college is going to be so different than it could have been. But then I also think, okay, well, the college freshmen last year, like, they were online. I'm going to actually need to go to class. So, I mean, we could sit here and compare everything all day, but
Right.
it's not going to change how it is. And also, like, the people who called this year bad, like, I'm not going to call it a bad year because I don't think it was a bad year. It was a strange year. It was weird and it was different, but it wasn't a bad year. It was what it was, and it was memorable. That's how I'm trying to think, like,
So many lessons for sure. And I guess I always just think of like in my mind how things, I guess I don't know, like historically, but like things were like pre 9/11, before you guys were, it was like before 9/11, and now it's BC, before COVID. Like this is just like on a global level, like. But I definitely appreciate also just those things, like, okay, this happened, and like you said, Christy, okay, on to the next thing. Like inside our households, we maintained normalcy, or we did our things and just took each day as they come. And I mean, basically you guys have learned life. And if you just keep doing what you're doing, it's just all uphill. I mean, there'll be things that happen that, curveballs. There's always curveballs, but I don't know that I would have been able to handle the things that you all have been dealt.
But I think you would, because I think, like, really sat down and cataloged your 40 something years, you've dealt with big things too. Not a global pandemic, because honestly, I mean, who would have ever thought that this could happen, like that our businesses could shut down, that there would not be toilet paper or bleach, like I still have to, like, I go to the store this week. I went to the store and they had a bottle of our Myers cleaning stuff. I don't need it, but it was there, and I was like, should I get it? Should I get it? In case, like, just in case the world shuts down again, and like if the
Apocalypse.
yeah, like if the shelves get a little bare, like it kind of like it acts like something. It's like, well, gosh, is everybody buying the toilet paper? Like, is something about to happen again? Should I buy some
See, and
toilet paper?
that always made me grumpy whenever, like, it kind of annoyed me whenever she was like that. Because it was like, and then like with the gas, I was like, well, if everyone would just get the gas that they needed and not freak out about it, then we wouldn't have a problem. Like, it's like traffic. Like, sometimes there's an accident, like you can't just go, but a lot of times people just like stop and it gets jammed up. And if everyone would just like go slow and just stay in their own lane, like there would be traffic. We wouldn't be out of gas. We wouldn't be out of toilet.
When you're sitting in traffic for like 30 minutes and you're like, oh, there's definitely like a 25 car pileup up here on the highway, and then you get up there and it's just nothing, and like all of a sudden you're going fast again, like that. I'm like, everyone in this line could just start driving fast right now at the same time, and like we would all be fine.
Yeah, exactly.
What book is that in where it talks, like, it goes through the science of like when one person taps their brakes, how the back of what book is that?
Yeah.
I don't know. Probably Malcolm Gladwell or something.
I just remember reading that. It was like,
Miss Brenda, I have a funny Malcolm Gladwell story for you. I'm very proud of this for some reason. I don't know if now's the time to tell it. I don't want to take up more time on the podcast, but I'll tell you.
Okay, I can't wait to hear it. Well, I'm glad to sit here and have all that. Yay, put the party hats on.
I don't have maroon for your school, so we just have to go with red.
Yeah, that's his favorite color.
Oh, there you go. And I don't have orange because we only do tan orange here. Sorry.
Yeah. So much to celebrate, so much to look back on, and to me, it's all good. It happened the way it was supposed to, but it ended better than I ever thought. And Casey, you'll be 18 soon.
Yeah, in a week from today.
Oh, that's right, Friday.
Yeah, it's like graduation. Like, it doesn't feel like anything different. Are you taking a picture?
Yeah. Yes. Oh, I guess I could just take a picture of the screen.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would have gotten one for Alex.
Here, Bowen.
Oh.
I was gonna say we have confetti too if you need it, Alex. I mean, like you said, I don't.
I have a little popper. I should have done that. Well, I can't wait to hear your next adventures. In December, we'll be like, oh my gosh, you're finished with your first semester of college.
Yesterday they told us our last day of classes for the semester, and I was like, I'm only going to be at college for less than 4 months for the first semester.
Yeah.
That's short, really.
Like we start.
But when they said that, I was like, wow.
Yeah, my first day of classes is the 25th of August, which is like 2.5 weeks later than I would start high school. And then my last day of the semester is like December 9th or 10th or something, which is like 2 weeks earlier than I would have been finishing high school.
Mm-hmm.
So
my birthday is August 16th and my last is December 8th.
Yeah.
So
crazy. Like that, like to me, I feel like there like some days are gonna drag for y'all. Oh, thank you. I forgot that room was running. But then some day, like you're gonna blink and it's gonna be like Thanksgiving, Christmas, spring break, in your freshman year, and you're gonna be.
Is Noble going to be a freshman?
He'll be in 8th grade.
8th grade. Okay.
Oh, no.
Wow. I know.
Yeah, 5 years. So we accidentally waited 5 years between kids, almost exactly 4 years, 9 months. So she was home. Until she was almost 5, she had her own room, and now he gets his own room the last 5 years.
Good for him. He's earned his slot, his spot.
Yeah, like our whole lives are like we're like my life is gonna change a lot. Y'all's lives are gonna change. My life is gonna change a lot because it'll just be me and boys.
It's so good. It's so good.
And y'all are gonna miss us. Like Alex, I know. Like I mean, I don't know. I can imagine with the teen boy. Like, does your mom want to talk more than you want to talk? Really and truly.
I mean, I don't.
I'm asking Alex.
Yes. See, does that answer? That perfectly answers your question right there, I think.
But yes, I'm working on my goal when Casey like leaves and goes to school is to not ask her all the questions that I want to ask her every day. Like just to ask maybe like what's the most important thing, and to temper that like my want to know it all.
Well, yesterday they kept saying, they were like, remember guys, call your moms, call your moms, call your moms. Like, that's not a problem for me. Like, it's just gonna
Right.
it's gonna be normal. It's not gonna be, oh, I have to call my mom on Sundays. Like, I think just communicating is gonna be normal. And we're also not that far apart. We're only an hour and 15 minutes away. So like we'll still see each other. Like, they drop me off and then 2 days later they're coming back to Huntsville for my new student convocation. So it's like we're gonna see each other. It's not a big deal.
And Alex, you're only an hour and a half away from us. If you need something, just holler.
Right. I'm so glad that he's got.
I was gonna say you got Cassie and Brian and Maddie and all your people there. Like,
Yeah. And I have some friends there too. Well, like Amy Davis has reached out, and some lady that I used to work with when I lived there. So it's gonna be good. I think for me, yeah, I've already started thinking about Matt. Matt's gonna miss him so much, and it's just gonna be weird. But it'll be good. I do think he'll miss us more than he thinks. I just I hope it's not. I don't know. It's different. It's weird because he's never really been away for this long. So but it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good.
None of them have like this. Like they're like, I don't want to make you cry, but they're moving.
I know.
Like they're leaving home for real.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and we've already told her like listen, we didn't have enough room for you all these years. We certainly don't have enough room for you to come back. So
Yeah, and like even if I wanted to come back to Brenham and student teach in a couple years, in a few years, A, I don't want to do that, but B, I'm actually like camped out at home with Noble as a junior.
oh my gosh, you could go live with Brenda's or Miss Farman's.
Oh, true. That's actually a great idea. I can come to your daughter for like a semester.
There you go.
That's a great
You
idea.
can have
actually.
Alex's room.
There we go. Perfect. That works out. That's actually a really good idea.
Maybe then you'll finally meet Emma, your best friend, because she'll probably be student teaching about the same time. Not going to student teach at the school.
Yeah, because Sam Houston does this program, so now they call it a residency. So instead of just like student teaching, like you slowly build up, and so then the first semester you're there, they said you're in the classroom 3 days a week, and then the second semester you're there full time. So, and then also there's another program where like your year of residency, you can get your master's that year at the same time.
Oh yeah.
These things.
Do you think Alex, do you think you'll get an advanced degree?
Yeah, I want to get my master's, and that kind of went into my decision a little bit, just because Rice was more expensive, and so I kind of have to think about the money I'll need like after undergrad. So that went into my decision a little bit, but yeah, I want to get my master's.
Do you see yourself like going straight through and doing it, or what do you think?
Yeah, probably just right after I graduate.
What are you majoring in?
I'm majoring in math, and I want to add computer science as a double major, but that's pretty tough at UT to add computer science because it's really competitive. I should have not that I'm regretting my decision, obviously, based off the conversation we've had today. I should have done computer science as like my first major and then added math because that would have been easier, but
What did Gavin?
it'll work out.
It will.
The nephew who just graduated, he started out in physics, and then he ended up.
He moved like he switched majors multiple times. I feel like every year.
And he still graduated in like you're like go talk to your advisor. You'll be fine.
Yeah.
Like, and even like there's very little. I think that we scare you guys like as seniors. Like you have in 8th grade we say you have to plan your whole thing
when I was in 7th grade and they made me choose what I wanted to do so I could choose my high school classes. It's like okay, well I know what I want to do right now. But like the kids who have no clue, that's a lot of pressure. And even in college, like that's what I mean. I have a friend who's a junior and she's gonna be a senior and she has no clue what she wants to do. Yeah. And my advice to her was like you don't have to figure it out. Like just stick with something that you think you enjoy, and it's not a big deal to change it. Like that doesn't mean you're a failure. That doesn't mean anything. Like it's okay to change your mind. That's how life works.
It's not. Yeah, it's that whole like it's not. It's temporary. It's not life or death. It's not the end of the world. Yeah, you change your mind. I mean, you change your mind. You change your mind.
It's totally like don't let me like regret shame you. Like go if you need to second guess that and be like, man, I wish I had like use that then. And then when Matt's like, I think I want to do this, and you say, hey, you know what, man, I wish I had done this, and you'll do the same thing with your son, and and your all the things like, well,
Yeah, I think about that a lot, like college apps and like starting college and like all the decisions you have to make. Like, I'll definitely be able to help him because there's some stuff that like you can't know until you do it, or unless someone else did it and told you.
We were talking about that yesterday in the car home from orientation because I didn't have a great experience with my counselors at the school, but one of my parents' friends, she coached me through like applications and things like that. And if I hadn't had her to help, I would have been like I would have had no clue. I didn't even know when applications were released. I had date like my school, my counselors, they said that they were going to tell us stuff and they never did. So I was just uninformed and I just didn't know what I didn't know. But unless you have someone to tell you those things and help you through, you just don't know. So
Yeah,
we'll have a list of things going and know how to help them.
Alex's Aunt Jennifer is
Yeah, that was my
on
person.
top of it. Like I told her she could go private and be like an advisor. Like she's really good. And she's like, I don't know what we'd done without her too, just helping and even some of the stuff in high school with like credits and ways to not manipulate.
With like in especially high school, like with credits and like pass fails and things like that. Like there's all these like rules that, to be honest, no one in high school tells you. Like nobody tells you that, and I don't even know if it's written anywhere where you could find it if you went looking. And so like one time I was telling my dad, oh, I can't. He was asking me basically what class I was going to take, and I told him all the specifics, and he was asking why I was doing everything, and it was like kind of complicated with my credits and what I could pass fail and whatnot. And he was like, who told you all? Like, how do you find out all the rules? He wanted to like see them in writing, and I was like, no, there's like, no, you can't see it. Like Aunt Jennifer just told me.
Yeah.
And he was probably like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, he's like, oh, okay. And then never asked again.
She's actually really the smartest one in the family.
Yeah, I think like she was like the sleeper, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm excited for y'all, and I'm excited to see like y'all like it's hard for y'all to imagine like you're already who you're gonna be, but you're still gonna keep changing. Mm-hmm. So like 6 months from now, like what do you like what are you gonna feel like inside? What do you like? What's gonna be your favorite thing? Like all the things.
And I like what you just said because he did the senior walk at his elementary, and they gave you they wrote letters to their future selves when they were in 5th grade. And so when we read that, so much of already who he was is who he is. So now we're going to take this moment and see where it is, but it is cool.
I feel a letter coming in your future, Alex. Your graduate Alex.
Yeah.
Hey, and I'm proud of you and congratulations to you. Like, I will say that I did not cry a whole lot.
Yeah.
I had moments, but for the most part, I really, was joyful and just happy, and the tears didn't come. I think the day that he moves into school.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that'll be the day, but for most of the part, I've enjoyed it all, and it's been fun, and I haven't boohooed nearly as much as I do on a typical day.
But joy doesn't mean like an absence of tears. Like it's okay. Like just because you're sad doesn't mean that it can't be joyful. Like you can have both because it's not going to be tear free for either of you. But that doesn't mean
looked at us like I just too much side eye. This is our podcast.
Sorry, my bad.
Yes.
But the thing is, like, when you drop me off, you're coming back 2 days later.
I don't have to.
She
invited us.
It's we're no.
Okay.
You know what? Fine. We're just gonna say it here. We are not going to new student convocation.
No, they're going. They're going. I registered them. But the thing is, you get like a practice drop off. You drop me off, and then you see me 2 days later, and then it's like, okay, you just kind of get to ease into it.
Yeah, and then I'm gonna be like, don't come home for a minute. Go do college.
Yeah, they told me I have to tell them before I come home. Like that's happening.
I mean,
yeah, you are. It's our house.
What if I just show up? You're gonna turn me away?
You know what? You just show up one time.
All right.
Oh my God, you can't even
naked Saturday.
This is fun.
Could be.
This is fun. Now I have to get ready to go get Matt a vaccine, and
Oh, we did good on time. I don't know. It was an hour.
Yeah, we did good.
Well
So
done.
thank y'all for staying with us again. This was fun. Congratulations. Let's see what's next.
We should do like, I don't know if I'm like putting myself into like a contract right now by saying this. So just take this lightly, but like y'all like Billie Eilish does like the same interview every year on that one YouTube. We
Yes.
should do like the same every year.
I love that.
There
Every
you go.
year.
Hold on, if we're gonna do that,
Sure,
then
you're
like,
right.
the same questions, like have some questions prepared, and like
Okay.
do kind of a quick follow up to this sometime, and like rapid fire like 10 questions for us, and then rapid fire every like semester, whatever.
Mhm.
Okay. I love it.
All of us come up with 2 questions.
Okay.
No,
We come up with questions.
yes. Yeah, she hasn't seen the interviews. Well,
Yeah.
I'll show you.
Feel like when
Okay.
I'm watching Billie Eilish
And
said,
they're really good. I've seen them. I've missed probably the last couple, but
They've done like 4 or 5 maybe.
and it's really funny. And then they show her
Like
her
the
last one, and she'll be like, "Oh, what was I thinking?" Yeah, it's really fun.
somebody
I like it. Next May 2022,
Yeah,
May, June,
yeah, apparently.
the first year of college. I love that.
Yeah.
And look how fast. Did it go by fast for you guys this year?
Yeah.
I think it did. Alex said yes. I always wonder that because as a parent, we always say, "Oh my gosh, it went by so fast."
I'm gonna be honest, I've kind of stopped thinking about senior year. So I don't really have, I don't know. Not that I don't care about senior year, but like, I don't know, a lot of it hasn't registered with me yet. So I haven't been able to like map it out in my brain. But I guess it did kind of go by fast. But at the same time, like there were some parts that went really slow for me, like schoolwork wise. And so it kind of dragged on. But then like the last 2 or 3 months went by really fast. Because every day felt like a big, important day.
Yeah.
Well, I love it. I love that you're on the other side and seeing how far you guys come. Like a lot went on in 1 year.
Yeah.
Yeah, the longest spring break ever. All right, y'all. Well, thanks for listening. Thanks for talking.
y'all have a great weekend.
Yeah,
You too.
you too. What does your shirt say, Christy?
Oh, it's Tom Petty. She's a good girl.
Oh, yeah.
It was one of those Instagram kept putting it in front of me, and finally I was like, I want to get that.
Dang, it worked. Oh gosh. Okay. Hey, if you want me to edit or do anything, I will do it.
Well, we're gonna keep recording this weekend, so we'll see.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Let me know what time. I'm ready.
All right. Okay. Well, we'll reach out to me after you get done with all your dinner and stuff tonight, and we'll plan this weekend. So.
Okay. Sounds good.
See you in a couple weeks.
All right.
Oh yeah.
Or I might see you. I don't know. What is it? What day is it? June
24th.
What day you text me? 24th.
What is June 24th?
I don't know. You texted y'all are coming through town or something.
Oh, yes. I don't know. I got stuck. Yes, we're going to be coming back from Austin, and I thought it'd be if we can get dinner or something, drive through
Let's do
and
it.
see y'all
Cool. Sure.
and see and meet Rory.
Oh, he has a new name now because we keep him. So
Keeping him? Oh, geez.
No. Yes and no. So this is, you know what? This is a whole other. There he is. Go get him.
he's not gonna let me touch him. He's eating. Come here, buddy.
Okay. So I'm working through the essentialism book, and one of the chapters is on like, like if it's not a strong yes, then it's a no.
Right.
I had a week ago, I told the kids, I was like, look, no more animals. Like, don't let me get a kitten. Don't let me get a puppy. Like when these are gone, they're gone. So
I got him.
and then that night, the dogs outside adopted this kitten. They got him in their yard.
It's so cute.
So I was like, fine, bring him inside so he doesn't die. And his name's Rory because he looks like a Rorschach test.
Oh my gosh.
Well, so then anyway,
Don't.
this week, I was like, I told Casey really wanted to keep the kitten. And I was like, look, I'm going to be straight with you. The kitten is a no for me. I think he's cute, and I'm not saying no to having a cat right now. I'm saying no to adding 15 to 20 years of pet ownership to my life.
Right.
So we came up with a compromise. he's Casey's cat. So she's going to take him to the vet. She'll do his vet bill. She'll get him fixed, all of the things. And then when she moves and takes Sprinkles, she gets to take this cat. So we're fostering him. She's paying the bills. And what did you name him?
His name, he's renamed, he's Brinkley Fox.
Sprinkly Fox?
Brinkley.
Oh, Brinkley.
So my cat is named after a dog. That's the dog's name in You've Got Mail. And I've always said I would get a dog named Brinkley. But I'm not a dog person, and I don't see myself ever like having a dog living on my own. So I was like, let me not wait for that. Let me just name the cat Brinkley because I know I love the name. So it's Brinkley Fox.
That is a good Brinkley Fox. So you'll take Brinkley and Sprinkles to school?
Whenever I get an apartment, I will. Yes.
Okay.
So as my dad says, I'm going to become an instant cat lady when I go to school.
Yeah. And how many cats does Taylor Swift have?
She has 3.
Oh, 3. Okay.
I only have 2. See,
But that's good because now we're apparently reflecting 1 per year. So
Yeah.
We'll see what happens next year.
We'll see. He's super cute.
Yeah.
I love the little doll bed, and the nightstand with the picture.
Yeah. He's definitely become part of the little kitty pack in our house because now he and Simon and Sprinkles, they just run around and play together. So they've adopted him and they're very protective of him, which is really cool. So like Hobbs was kind of hissing at him the other day and Sprinkles stepped in and was so yeah, it all works together really well. They're cute.
okay, we'll be kept off. Y'all go get your Alex, go have
Get vaccinated.
all the things.
All right, y'all. Thanks so much. See you soon. But yes, I'll text you or later, and then this weekend, and yeah, the 24th, dude.
Hey y'all, are you still watching? Are you still listening?
We're so glad that you're still with us. If you want to connect online, we're at www.normalbiaspodcast.com, or you can find us on Facebook or Instagram or YouTube. And our very favorite, if we made you a mixtape, we put all those songs on our Spotify playlist for you.
All the things.